Okay, now, in our study last week, we studied about the first beast that John saw. Now we're in Revelations chapter 13, and just bear with me, let me get myself together here, if that's possible. Now we're not going to be looking up as many verses tonight, but there's a lot to this particular lesson. Now, in our lesson last week, the first beast we know was the Antichrist, and that would be the political man that will take over the governmental rule in the last end. Now we know that's who. Remember, we talked about the Holy Trinity and the unholy Trinity. God's Trinity is Father, Son, and Holy Ghost. And Satan certainly wants to imitate that. So he is old Satan, he's ahead of it. And then he's got the Antichrist, which will be the governmental, the one that will take off of the rule over all the government. And then the false prophet, he will be the one that will take over the religious bodies and all of that. But when we talked about that last week, we read about the 7 heads, which represent the 7 previous and present empires, and the crowns, which will be the 10 nations that we read about in Daniel, or in other words, the 10 toes of Nebuchadnezzar's dream. It all works together. Daniel seen it back then, or interpreted it then, and then John seen it again here. Now, that Nebuchadnezzar's dream is in Daniel 2:41, but we're not going to go there. You know the story really well. Now, these 10 nations will give their complete allegiance to the Antichrist. Now, I'm going to, as I said before service, I'm going to open up a can of worms. That's what I say when it's something controversial. These nations could very, very easily be out of our United Nations or some of its satellite organizations. I did ask one of the fellows before church, I couldn't figure out how many nations were in the UN, and Raymond come up with 100 and something, but that he looked up. But now we know that there are many of them. Now I know that at one time there were just 18. There was just 18. Now when the political man, or the Antichrist, which will be the political man, rises, how easy would it be for him to take over the United Nations? They are already at least 25 organizations scattered worldwide under the UN. And when I looked at that, now I had got a little map here and a little chart. And when I looked at this, and I looked at it, Brother Pete, and it astounded me. It actually, for where all these, there are already at least 25 organizations or more that's scattered out worldwide. Now we're talking about worldwide under the United Nations. Now let me give you a few that would shut down the world if they were controlled by Satan. They would absolutely shut down the world. And I'm going to leave the United States to last. And this is just a portion of them. But these are important, and these are ones that I think that we're all familiar with. In the Netherlands, there is the Organization for the Prohibiting of Chemical Warfare. Understand what I said? Chemical warfare. In Geneva, Switzerland, there's more than this, but the International Telecommunications all of the communications for the worldwide goes through Geneva, Switzerland. Now, think about that now. We've talked about the chemical weapons. Now we talked about the communications. Over in Bern, Switzerland, is a universal postal union. That would be anything, the mail, I would assume. Anything considered with mail or whatever in that category. In Rome, Italy, there is the Food and Agricultural, notice what I said, that Food and Agriculture Organization and the World Food Program is headquartered in Rome, Italy. In Vienna, Australia, now notice how these are scattered out. The International Atomic Energy is in Australia. Now, what about the United States? I think most of you know this for sure. In Washington, D.C. is the World Bank. We've got the money for the world. And the International Monetary Fund. And then there's many other little things that's in New York. But now, I thought to myself, oh my gracious, all the man of sin would have to step up, and he would have all the chemical weapons of the world, all of the communications of the world, all of the postal and that kind of thing, all of the food, and all of the atomic energy, and many, many other things. How easy would it be to take over that and control the world? Because you know there is going to be a one world government in the end time, and that would cover almost every. And to me, when I looked at those different ones, and there's so many other little things in here different, and they've got these organizations scattered all over the whole all over the world. It's not just in our country, but it's all over the world.
What did you say Australia was?
Let's see.
Nuclear.
Yeah, International Atomic Energy Agency. Now, that is a big deal right there, because we know that the atomic energy, that covers a lot of things, even medicine, and besides the weapons and all of that kind of things that can be used. So if Ali would have to step up, take over all these countries, and then let them, look what they would be in charge of. Almost every single thing in the world. When I read it, Brother Pete, it kind of scared me a little. It made me think.
We better know how to bathe and grow food without power and water.
Yes, absolutely. Now, does this cause you to want to be sure that you're in the rapture?
Amen.
Oh, my. Yes. We want to be ready to go.
Amen.
We want to be in that number, don't we? Children, if we ever wanted to live for the Lord, and the nation is reeling and rocking as fast as it can go, even our own nation, this is not counting. This is what we see. That don't count what is worldwide. That most of us, like myself, that is just a little old common ordinary person, that doesn't know that much. I didn't realize, I knew these organizations existed, but I didn't realize that they were scattered in strategic spots, that they could very easily rise up and control the whole world. My. That I wanted just to throw that in with our lesson for last week. Now, let's look at our lesson today and see what we can learn. I don't even think we'll get through it. Let's read Revelations chapter 13, and we're gonna be verses 11 through 18, but I don't know if we'll get through this or not. Now, I don't have many verses to look up, but there's quite a bit of here. Brother Pete, let's start with you over there.
13 and 11. And I beheld another beast coming up out of the earth. It had 2 horns like unto a lamb, and he spake as a dragon.
And he exerciseth all the power of the first beast before him, and causes the earth and them which dwell therein to worship the first beast, whose deadly wound was healed.
And he doeth great wonders, so that he maketh fire come down from heaven on the earth in the sight of men.
And deceiveth them that dwell on the earth by the means of those miracles which he had power to do in the sight of the beast, saying to them that dwell on the earth that they should make an image to the beast, which had the wound by sword and did live.
And he had the power to give life unto the image of the beast, and the image of the beast should both speak and cause that as many as would not worship the image of the beast should be killed.
And he caused all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive the mark on their right hand and in their foreheads.
And that no man might buy or sell, save he that had the mark, or the name of the beast, or the number of his name.
Here is wisdom. Let him that hath understanding count the number of the beast, for it is the number of a man, and his number is 666.
When I read this lesson, I thought, well, there's not a lot of references in the Bible to what we're studying tonight. We just have to tell you what the Spirit tells us and what we have learned over time and what we have seen come to pass. Now, you know that there was the beast that we're talking about here in verse 11, this beast that came up out of the earth. Now, John said there was another beast that came up out of the earth. Now, it wasn't out of the ground. It was out of the people. That's what that meant, out of the people. And this beast will be the false prophet or the religious leader. This is the one that's going to take over all of the religious parts and persuade the people. And I think we can prove that to you. Now, he is given his power by the first beast, the political leader. Now, the political leader is the first beast that we studied about that will take over the governmental properties and things. That's what we studied. And now all of these, both of these, are given their power by Satan. Satan is ahead of them. But this one man that steps up will be the Antichrist, which will be the man, the political man over the governmental part. And the next man that would stand up would be the false prophet or the religious man. Now, this beast will be the false prophet or the religious leader. Now, he is given his power by the first beast, the political leader, to persuade or force the people to follow the first beast. He will look as gentle as a lamb and speak like a dragon or a Satan's force, He is a false teacher trying to portray himself like Jesus. Now, how foolish is that idea? But we have a lot of so-called preachers and teachers trying to draw God's people away from the true word this very day, and that's the truth. This beast is considered a counterfeit Christ, and then we know that he's going to be. It said he was going to be like a lamb. In other words, come in gentle. He's going to be persuasive, and that kind of a person. Now, let's look down here at verse 12. At verse 12. Now this false prophet, he exercised all the power of the first beast before him, and caused the earth and them that which dwelleth therein to worship the first beast whose deadly wound was healed. Now this false prophet is going to entice the people or persuade the people to follow this political leader. And that is going to be his job. We see that he acted in the person, in the power of the Antichrist to cause the people to worship the Antichrist. Here again we see a reference to the deadly wound that the Antichrist suffered and recovered. If people witnessed this first beast with a deadly wound recovered, they probably would think that God did it. Now, don't let your eyes deceive you. Just hold on. Just hold on for a little bit till we get down through here. Now, down in verse 13, 14, 15, I'm pushing you a little fast for a reason. In 13, he said, now this a false prophet, and he does great wonders. Now look what he's doing. So he maketh fire come down from heaven on the earth in the sight of men. And he deceived them that dwell on the earth by means of his miracles, of those miracles which he had the power to do in the sight of the first beast, saying to them that dwell in the earth that they should make an image of to the beast which had the wound and did live. Now, he also had power to cause this image to speak and everybody to worship it. Now, he convinces the people that he's leading them in the right direction. That's what he's doing. And the miracles which he had power from Satan. Now, Satan gave him this power. Here again, he's trying to do miracles like Jesus and the prophets of old did. See, he's trying to imitate. He tells them that they need to make an image to the first beast. Now, you know one thing that we learned in the Ten Commandments, that we're not to make any graven image or to fall down and worship it. But here, he convinced them to make an image to this beast. My, what a time this is going to be. And there in that verse 13 where he said, and he had power to make that image speak. And to, now, in this verse here, in verse, we read, let me go back up here. And he had power to give life unto the image of the beast, and the image of the beast should speak, and cause that as many as would not worship the beast should be killed. And I put in my notes here somewhere, but I must have it over toward the end, that we have something similar, but on a smaller scale. That AI today, they can make almost anything look so real, and that it can speak. And so the false prophet is going to make this beast be able to speak, and as many as would not worship this image, that they should be killed. They should be killed. See, he enticed them, but then look what happened. After the people made the image, he, through the power of Satan, gave this image life and the ability to speak. Now, like I said, there's an invention now, which is that AI, which is, I know some of you have read about it and seen it, a lot of, but now it is on a small scale compared to what the false prophet was going to be able to do. This causes all the people either to worship this image or to lose their life. Has anybody got any comment on those before we go down into this next section here. In verse, I know I'm rushing you a little fast. And he causeth all, both small and great, and rich and poor, and free and bond, what? To receive a mark in the right hand or in the forehead. And we know verse 17 says, and without that, nobody, you can't buy anything, you can't sell anything, unless you got that number of the beast or the number of his name. Now, and it says here, here's wisdom. And I hope we've got a little wisdom tonight. Brother Pete, I don't have much, but I think I got a little. Let him that hath understanding, if you got understanding, count the number of the beast, for it is the number of a man, and his number is 666. In these verses that we just reread, most of us have heard this all of our life about the mark of the beast. And sometimes, you know, most people, Brother Pete, that's the only thing they know about the end of time. They know that the mark of the beast is going to be at the end of time. Most everybody knows that, but they don't know the rest of the things that go with it. But you could even ask a sinner or anybody, and they can tell you, oh yeah, I've heard about the mark of the beast. That's going to be a mark at the end time where you can't buy or you can't sell. But there's more to it than that. Now this mark will be in the right hand or in the forehead. And without it, you can't buy or sell or do any transactions like that. Talk about famine and medical issues and 1,000 other problems that's going to cause. You know, I only want the mark that's recorded in Revelations 22. Pete, go pick on you since you do, and been here a while. Would you go to chapter 22 and read verse 3, 4, and 5? This is the mark that I want. Since I didn't have you running all over the Bible tonight.
And there shall be no more curse, but the throne of God and the Lamb shall be it, and the servant shall serve him. And they shall see his face, and his name shall be in their foreheads. And there shall be no night there, and no need of candle, neither light of the sun. For the Lord God giveth them light, and they shall reign forever and ever.
Oh, that's the mark I wanted. Isn't that what you want? He said, and God's going to put that mark on us. Now, I don't know what it's going to be. I couldn't tell you. All I want to just make it there. That's all I want to do. Just make it through the door. Make it through the door. Now, I want each of you, if you will, get you a piece of paper and a pen or pencil. I'm going to have you do something tonight after we get down here just a little bit. You say, Sister Shirley, what are you doing? Now, let us look at this number and see what we can, determine from it. The one doing this is a false prophet. Now, the religious leaders. Now, I don't like to cast a bad light upon any religious organization. I never have. But the one that was in power at this particular time, and that was in power when John the Baptist or John the Revelator was writing this, was known as the Roman Catholic Church. Now, let us look at Revelations chapter 17, verse 7 and verse 9. Melissa, you want to get verse 7 out of Revelations chapter 17, verse 7.
17:7. And the angel said unto me, wherefore didst thou marvel? I will tell thee the mystery of the woman, and of the beast that carrieth her, which hath the 7 heads and 10 horns.
Brother Calvin, would you get that verse 9?
And here is the man which hath wisdom. The 7 heads are 7 mountains on which the woman sitteth.
See, I didn't have to get a good mind. Said, here's the mind that has wisdom. Remember what it said over here? It said in the 18th verse, here is wisdom. And over here it says, here is the mind which hath wisdom. So, now, just bear with me just a little bit. Let me read you the notes that man has written, and that is in the bottom in my Bible, and it may help to. I don't usually do that either, but they can. It might explain something just a little bit better than I can. Hold on just a second here. Let me get to the right page. Okay. The 7 heads. Now, this is what the interpretation or that was written in my Bible. Now, you know where the helps and the explanations are. Now, I've taught this many, many years, not just from this right here, but I've taught this since 1985, I believe. The 7 heads of the beast represents 7 mountains on which the woman sitteth. The city of Rome was known throughout the ancient world as a city built on 7 hills or mountains. John notes that the wise mind will make the proper identification. The woman apparently represents idolatrous, anti-God civilization centered at Rome, but with worldwide influence. The identification of the 7 heads at Rome shows that the beast will have his major base of operations at Rome. Now, notice what I said, at Rome. Now, I've had this for a long time. This is man-made. Now, Italy sits on 7 hills. Italy sits on 7 hills. Now, that's over the Vatican sits on 7 hills. Now, the Vatican, or the headquarters of the Catholic Church, is located there. That is what that is. Now, this little place in Rome, it only covers 109 acres. Now, it's the Vatican. It's the headquarters for the Roman Catholic Church. It's 109 acres, or it's called Vatican Hill. Now, it's an independent state. Now, it's only 109 acres, but it's its own state. It's its own nation. And with the Pope has absolute sovereignty over that and all the Catholic churches throughout all the lands. The official name of this territory, which is like a sixth of a square mile, is the State of the Vatican City. More often, it is called the Vatican of the Holy See. Now, the Pope, now I'm not just naming just one Pope, but we know that the one that is there is now is Pope Francis. Now, I'm not saying that one of them is the false prophet. I'm not saying that. Now, the popes are referred to as the vicars of the Son of God. Vicars of the Son of God. Now, vicar means a substitute. or it could be a parish priest, it says, but it's a substitute. Pete, if you were a pope, would you be a substitute for the, what was it, for the Son of God? Absolutely not. And that is what is on that emblem that they wear around their neck. It says, it says vicars of the Son of God. Now, on your paper that I told you to get, in Latin, the word, this means vicars of the Son of God, is spelled like this. Right? V as in Victor, I, C, C as in Charles, A, R. And then write I, U, S. Then another word, F as in Frank, I, L, I. And the last word is D as in Donald, E, I. You got that? V, I, C, A, R, I, U, S, F, L, F, I, L, I, D, E, I. Now this is what it means in Latin. And you know that Latin is the language that they use. In fact, most of their sermons are preached in Latin. And these letters, I'm going to have you do a little something. Now don't go around saying, well, Sister Shirley said the Pope was the 666. We do know the number. It's going to be 666 because Calvin read it to us. The V in Roman numerals, right below that V, write 5. A V means 5. A I is 1. A C is 100. The AR has nothing. And go over to the IUS, and that I put 1. A U is 5. And over in the Philly, I guess you say Philly, the F has nothing, but the I, under the I put 1. A L is 50. I is 1. I is 1. And over in the DEI, the D is 500. E has no value in the Roman numerals. And the I is 1. You got it? V is 5. I is 1. C is 100. I is 5. U is 5. I is 5. 50 is, L is 50. I is 1. I is 1. D is 500. And the I is 1. Add that together. What do you come up with? 666. Now, I'm not saying, it said it was a number of a man. And we do know that the Roman Catholic Church is the richest organization on earth. In 1997, it had over 1 billion people. I mean, in 97, can you imagine how many it's got now? This would be the ideal organization for the false prophet to take over and control the people. See, that would be a religious organization. And what is it? It's set on 7 hills. It's already there in Italy. And like I said, it's only 44 acres. 109 acres. It's not very big, but it has its own government. The Pope has a complete rule. It has its own churches, its own. It's got stores and schools and everything right there on this 109 acres that sits on them 7 hills. And the Vatican, the big main part of it sits on what they call Vatican Hill. So, I'm not saying that the Catholic Church, but they are the richest in the world. Now, this may not be God's plan, but almost all Bible teachers believe that that will be the organization, because that would be the easiest for the man of sin just to rise up and take over, you know. What will the mark be? I don't know, computer chip, tattoo, or some other mark. But aren't you glad you're going to be safe with Jesus?
Amen.
You won't be taking no mark. It won't matter which man's got the mark, or which man's 666. Anybody got anything they want to add to what I've given you tonight? I know this is a lot, and I know there's not really a lot of verses to back a lot of this up. We just have to go. But when I read about the United Nations and all of the organizations that are absolutely, would take over the whole world, the atomic one, the medical one, and then in New York we got the money here. And you know, I would, for some reason, I was thinking the World Bank was overseas, but it's not. It is in Washington, D.C. Washington, D.C. So I kind of believe that these 10 blessed nations will come out of the United Nations. Now, not all of them, because some will fall. They will be the most prominent ones, most likely, and pledge their allegiance to the Antichrist. And then, if the false prophet can take over the Roman Catholic Church, which is set up perfectly already, and they have more rituals and everything already set up that the people are so used to that it would. Now, with you and I, Brother Dale, we wouldn't even know what to do. Because they have, when you walk in the door, you gotta bow, you gotta bend, they call it genuflect, like this when you come in the door. And there's so many things that have to transpire. But now, I hope you got a little bit out of it. Hope I didn't completely confuse you. If I did, ask some of these fellows, they can really tell you. And we'll try to go into chapter 14 and talk about the Lamb next week. If I confused you, ask Pete and Calvin and Dale and Raymond.
Thank you, sis.
This is more history than
It's off now.